You know what I gotta ask you because my Roomba is currently at work right now.
Rude.
Your Roomba, does your Roomba have two legs and speaks? Hey guys, welcome to the Dad Shoes Podcast, the dad group you don't have to go to.
So John, we're a little ways after Thanksgiving here. I really hope
Weeks.
couple weeks. I really hope you don't have any leftovers still from Thanksgiving. It might be a little long.
No, we don't. We actually cooked a lot more food. We went to my mom's house and she's like, I don't want to cook all that much food. So she doesn't like turkey, so we did prime rib and then she got two turkey breasts because she wanted like something small and she cooked both turkey breasts. They're pre-cooked. They're like from Whole Foods or something.
Okay.
And all you had to do was heat them up, and she like heated them up way too much. Anyways, not the point. Point is, we had two giant turkey breasts and a prime rib to feed 12 people. So we ended up with a lot of leftovers. And my mom gave away most of the turkey because she doesn't like turkey.
Sure.
And some of the prime rib, but there was still a big chunk that she sent home with us, and that lasted the week.
Yeah.
So.
Is it usual? Do you usually have a lot of leftovers, or?
It depends. So if we go with my mom, then there's leftovers, a good amount. Excuse me. If we go with my in-laws, there's leftovers, but they're not leftovers. They're like her parents will cook like 4 turkeys for 6 people. Well, not 6 people. There's now 10 of us. That didn't sound right when I first was going to pop that off, and it was 10 of us.
Yeah.
But so they cook a turkey for Thanksgiving dinner, and then they cook a turkey for us and then my sister-in-law to take home, which is
like an
really
extra turkey.
sweet. Yeah. Wait, what?
It's like an extra turkey. Yeah.
Yeah.
My mom used to do that. She'd make an extra turkey just for leftovers.
And I mean that's okay. The problem is that I'm not gonna eat it. Like I like turkey. Don't get me wrong, but send me home with some breast because I'm gonna put it in there, and after like 2 days, I'm gonna be done with turkey. I love turkey sandwiches, but there's never leftover mashed taters. There's never sweet potatoes. There's never gravy left over. There's never like the stuff that makes a Thanksgiving leftover sandwich delicious.
Oh yeah.
And my uncle,
the moist
if we go to
maker.
my uncle's house, exactly. If we go to my uncle's house for Thanksgiving, there are leftovers. Like I tease because it's just what I know. My uncle doesn't know how to cook for small. He cooks en masse, and
It's a gift.
it is a gift. He's taken classes on it. Like he took a class when he was in law school or college or whatever, cooking for large parties or something, and it was like a hospitality class because he used to run. It was a nightclub, but it also had a restaurant. He started out there as a bouncer in high school, and then he ended up running this place. Right,
Worked his way into the kitchen.
Yeah, right. So then he was going in for hospitality at first, and then I don't know, somehow switched to philosophy and history, and now he's a lawyer. But
What you can get.
yeah, so he is a great cook, like one of the best cooks I've ever encountered, and because of him, I've encountered a lot of high quality chefs. I have an aunt who's a Le Cordon Bleu chef, so I mean, there's a lot of cooking going on in my family that's really high quality. Anyways, my uncle has a lot of leftovers, and the reason he has a lot of leftovers, he will say, is because he doesn't really like Thanksgiving dinner. He likes Thanksgiving leftovers.
Thanksgiving leftovers smack. It is a whole different level. Just don't even bother with Thanksgiving meal. Just put it on the fridge right away.
Hey, my mom's hilarious because what she does is she cooks everything ahead of time. So like for the week or two, the week leading up, she cooks the green beans and the mashed potatoes and everything, and just puts it in the fridge. And all she has to do is heat it up on Thanksgiving or Christmas.
Not bad.
Before food comes. And that's really if you've got all the fixins, a leftover sandwich is
solid.
the best. Yeah.
The best.
Yeah.
Oh man. Well, I made the mistake this year of being the chef for Thanksgiving.
I make that mistake all the time.
Yeah, I don't know how I got talked into that one, because originally we were going to go to my mother-in-law's.
Right.
And then that didn't really happen. And so then my mom's just like, oh, great, you're here. You can cook everything. And the mistake is that I did a good enough job that they're like, hey, Christmas, right? So I'm on for Christmas. And I think we're going to...
Did you cook everything?
Not everything, but I did the turkey. I did Brussels sprouts. I did mashed potatoes. I did the stuffing. And this was all with support of my mother, you know.
Sure.
My mom did the cornbread for the stuffing. And then I had her kind of...
That's the coolest.
Yeah, and then I had her come over and just kind of eyeball everything with me and make sure that it looked okay. I did the gravy. So I did like 5 or 6 parts of the Thanksgiving meal. I bought Costco rolls because, of course, my favorite roll.
Why not?
So yeah, we contributed a lot. So now they're like, my grandparents are really like the judge, because they're the ones. My grandma's the one who's been cooking forever. And last year, So last year I got the tutorial. I went to my grandmother's house because she can't really cook anymore, but I went over to help her out. And I kid you not, we took the turkey out of the package. We didn't do a darn thing to it except remove the giblets. We just put it in the oven. And I was like, are you sure, Grandma? Like, are you sure this is what we're going to do? She's like, yeah, that's it. That's all we did to it.
How was it?
It was okay. I mean, there was a lot of flavor to it. This year, I didn't, I was in my own kitchen, and I talked to my grandmother about it, and some other things like, you can make like a compound butter, like a butter with some ingredients,
with herbs,
some herbs and stuff in it. Yeah. And so I've done this with a couple chickens that I've roasted. You make compound butter and you just kind of stuff it under the skin.
You got to get it under that skin.
Yeah. I don't have an injector. I don't know that I want to go there yet. Maybe I do.
You should get one. But, I mean, it's just a syringe. Just get a syringe.
Maybe I do. But I haven't done the injector yet. But I talked to my grandma about doing this with the turkey, and she's like, well, we don't do that because, Grandpa's doesn't want to do dairy. Fair enough. Okay. So I got to be a little more creative this year. But the one thing that trips me up, so my grandma has this metal box. It's a roaster box.
Okay.
And it's just, you put the turkey in the roaster. It's like porcelain or something. It's like some kind of metal. It's not cast iron. It's like enamel coated. And you put the turkey. Oh,
it's probably an enamel cast iron.
Something like that. I don't know. You put it in there, and then you put that in the oven. And my mom was like, yeah, it cuts down on the cook time. And I was like, all right, yeah, maybe a little bit. No, this thing seriously cuts down on the cook time.
Yeah.
Because I pulled it out of the oven. We didn't, I wanted to spatchcock it. That was my preference. Cut the spine out.
Dude, the spatchcock it. Yeah.
That's what I wanted to do. I got vetoed on that. So we used the roaster. And, usually cook a turkey for like 2.5, 3 hours, right? When you leave it full.
It's something like 7 minutes a pound.
Yeah. I mean, this was a big bird. We had 18 folks coming to our Thanksgiving. So we had an over like 20, 21 pound turkey.
Dang.
And man, this roaster really, because I pulled it out expecting to like maybe baste it a little bit and then put it into the broiler to kind of brown out the skin.
Done.
It was done. Overdone.
Wow.
I was a little disappointed about that.
Bummer.
Overdone a little bit. It was still fine.
Wow.
It tastes fine. It's turkey,
Yeah.
It's as good as turkey's going to get. Leftovers, though, were the bomb. And so I might post a picture of this. This was actually something my mom
you gotta post it.
I took a picture of it.
Gotta post it.
We made kind of a turkey pot pie kind of thing.
That's awesome.
I think it was called a turkey lattice pie, and man, it was delicious.
It had a lattice up on the top?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's a pot pie.
It was delicious, and I will tell you why it's delicious, because the recipe called for 3 cans of crescent roll dough, and man, that was really good.
I made chicken pot pies the other day.
Yeah.
From scratch, not like I didn't.
Do you use like a pie crust?
I bought Pillsbury pie crust.
You bought a pie crust, okay? Because chicken pot pie has been on my list to like start making because it seems pretty simple and it's delicious. So when I made this turkey pot pie, I think that's kind of why we found it, turkey lattice pie.
It's the same thing.
It wasn't a pie crust. It was crescent roll dough, and it was 3 cans of it. And as I'm eating
you can buy. I went to go buy crescent rolls because I was going to do like pizza roll-ups on the crescent rolls. Mm-hmm. You can buy crescent roll dough that's not cut.
Yeah, that's what I bought. That's what I bought because I needed it just laid out to make the bottom, and then I cut the lattice on top. And I probably could have gotten away with 2 cans. I probably could have gotten away with 2. I used the third just to finish out the lattice. And as I'm eating it, I'm like, man, this is delicious.
Oh, yeah.
This is 50% bread. Every bite.
my uncle taught me to make apple pie. And I got a deep dish pie pan. I used a Pillsbury crust because I could make the pie crust, but it's a ton of work.
Yeah.
And it tastes
pretty much the same. Yeah.
The Pillsbury pie crust is great. So I
have no desire to actually make a pie crust.
Oh man, we went to my grandmother's house for Christmas one year, and she goes, "Okay, well, I want you to make a pie." I'm like, "All right, I'll make apple and pumpkin because those are my favorite pies." And well, those are my favorite pies that I make. And pumpkin pie, simple. You pour it in the pie crust and you're good. The apple pie, because you've got to peel the apples, and I've got a little rotator cutter core.
Yeah.
So you do that, and then you've got to let it sit, and it's called masticating, and you put some lemon juice on it, and you get all that juice down at the bottom with the brown sugar and the cinnamon, and so you put the pie the filling into the pie, and then you take all that juice because it's been masticating for 8 hours, and you cook that down to caramelize it. So you reduce it down and you pour that over it, and then you put the top on it. So I don't remember why, but I decided I'm going to make a lattice pie. And I made a lattice, and I put a little bow in the middle, and I drew like a heart on the side, and I brought it to my grandmother's, and she goes, "Oh, Johnny, this looks great. Where did you get this?" Like, my kitchen? No, really, where did you get it? And then it took her the whole night. My mom goes, "Mom, he made that today. I watched him." It looked beautiful. I haven't made one since because that one was like, it was so good. It was the pie. It was like the pie. I don't want to go back and do it again, but I don't know. Maybe we'll see.
One day.
But yeah, no, the pie crust. Just get a pie crust.
You know what I'm thinking, man? We just need to do a Dad Shoes cookbook. That's what I'm hearing. I think we can make some money off of that.
I am here for it.
Yep. Were we live? We were live when you made the TikTok, right? We have a Dad Shoes TikTok now.
I don't remember. I think we were. Yeah, I think people saw that. We have a Dad Shoes TikTok now, so we're gonna post some videos.
Yeah, post some comments. Like, let us know in the comments there if you want us to make some Dad Shoes, some dad recipes, man.
Yeah, man.
I mean, I'm the cook in my house. I mean, I've been cooking our meals since my wife got pregnant with our first kid. Which, when my wife was pregnant, it was great because she craved all the fatty foods that I love. Oh. So it was like, "Hey, Mars, I made this like really cheesy, greasy dish," and she's like, "Yes, absolutely." And now that she's not pregnant and wanting to lose weight, she's like, "Connor, maybe learn some new recipes, man." I'm like, "Why? Dude, cheese is a great component."
I don't know if I said this on the pod, or I may have told you, but I had I was home with the kids. I don't remember. It must have been a weekend. And what do you want for lunch? I want a cheese sandwich, which is a grilled cheese sandwich. So I made a grilled cheese sandwich, but it looked so good, I wanted one. So I had one. Mm-hmm. And then for dinner, the baby wanted a cheese sandwich. So I made one. It looked so good, so I had one. And then, like, for a solid week, at least, maybe 2 weeks, I didn't want to look at fat. Like, if it had cheese or butter, I'd pulled bacon out for breakfast, like the next weekend, and just like, no, dude, no, just put that back in the freezer, man.
Never mind.
Just no fat at all. I could feel it seeping out of my pores. It was just
bad time.
But you know, it was delicious. So. But let me ask you, I got a very for realsy question for you.
Yeah, let's switch up the topics here.
Switch up topics.
Sudden transition.
smooth transition, because that is what I'm the king of.
Like butter.
Like butter. Your son is going to be starting kindergarten.
Yep. Next
year, along with my daughter.
Yeah.
Not together though, because we
different
live in
schools,
different counties.
Different counties.
Have you put any thought into that yet?
Now, so you grew up in this county, right? And
I grew up in your county.
You know what it was like when we were here, and school is very different these days.
Is it?
In some ways. And my setup for this question was gonna be, so John, I've been subbing lately. I've been in the classroom, and I have some thoughts about school. So
we should probably work on our transitions before we record, huh?
That's okay. Yeah, maybe it'll make some notes. I was just had that in my mind. I was just before you asked that question, I was going to be like, hey, so let me ask you about this. Anyway, so we want to talk about school today because school's coming up. School's important. It's inevitable, as I've been telling the classes I've been subbing. For a certain time. And here, elementary school is zoned if you want to go to public school. You know, you go to the school you're zoned for. I think there are some magnets if you want to, but kindergarten, I don't know. I think he's just zoned. So we know the school that he's zoned for, that Titus is zoned for, and so we are going to just send him to that school. I have more thoughts, but I want to let you have a chance to.
So here's my thing. I'm zoned for multiple schools. Now hold on a second.
We get one choice. Titus can go to this school unless we want to do a magnet or something, you know. And they're pretty picky about it because I know that we've had friends of my mom have borrowed her address to get their children at certain schools.
You can't say that. That's illegal.
That is illegal. Don't do that, kids. That's why I'm not giving any names. But because there's some schools are better than others. You know, it's just a fact of life.
Right, and so here's the reason I wanted to have this conversation, all right? I was talking to my brother. I've been thinking about this for the last 6 months, since we officially started preschool, right?
Yeah, VPK.
I am a firm believer that all kids should get the same education, right? Everybody should get the same opportunities. I never understood growing up that I got different opportunities than somebody else. I didn't get it. And it wasn't until recently that I understood the
nuance.
Yeah, and I knew that, like, when I started middle school, I went to a magnet program. It was a great school, and that was part of why my parents wanted me to go there. But it was an art school, so I wanted to go there. I did the same thing for high school, and when I went my freshman year of high school, I went to the same school you did. I went to Gardens, and I failed freshman English. And it wasn't because I didn't know what I was doing. I aced all the tests, but I wouldn't do the homework. I slept through class. Like, I studied Romeo and Juliet for Shakespeare in 7th grade. We're in 9th grade, and the teacher's, like, dissecting it. And I'm like, she asked a question. I raised my hand. And by, like, the third question, I was like Hermione in class. By the third question, she stopped answering. I just slept. Put my head down and slept in class because I knew the stuff. Right, it was nothing new, and so when I my sophomore year, I went over to the art school, and it was a totally different ball game. They actually cared about academics as well. Like, they were really strict. We were one of the top schools in the country, and for Florida, that's saying something.
Yeah, I think recently within the last year, took the top spot at least in Palm Beach County away from Suncoast.
Yeah, well, when I was there, Suncoast and Dreyfus were the two that we competed for, the two top in Florida. And one year it was Suncoast, one year it was us. It would just kind of like bounce back like that. But I had a great academic education in middle school and high school because of that. So I did a little Googling real quick, a little aside. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Oh, wait, those are high schools. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 elementary schools. One's a K-8 that I can send my kids to.
And you just get to choose.
Apparently. So apparently you have to, you get to select, and you get to select like 3 or something. And depending on once it opens up, whomever selects, whatever school first, you'll get your set. It's like ranked choice voting.
Yeah. I was just going to say that. Yeah.
Which is weird that we're using ranked choice voting as the easy explanation now.
Yes.
But we have magnet programs going up, and we had kids that went to like zoned high schools. Like Jupiter High School was the town high school.
Yeah.
If you grew up in that zone, that's where you went. But we had kids who lived in Palm Beach Gardens who would go to Jupiter for their medical program.
Yeah.
Right. And so the magnet programs were all over, and I think those are fantastic if you want to specialize in something. And I got other thoughts about what you should get out of it, but I'm talking about getting into it.
Yeah.
And where do I want to go? Do I want to do just one of the public schools? I could do a charter school, right? Because now even you guys have charter schools.
Yes. We could just choose a charter school, I believe.
Right.
And those are like a part of the county.
Right. Or you can do private.
We want to pay for it.
To some extent. And there's scholarships, and my mom keeps telling me, look into scholarships.
Yeah, that's crazy. Like, I'm surprised at how many people, like, maybe I'm not, just how many people have been like, hey, maybe send them to private school. Like, just offering their 2 cents of like, public school's crazy. Like, send them to private school. Like, I don't know. I went to public school. I turned out.
I went to public school.
Like that's what my wife and I have always said is like, we went to public school and we turned out fine. Like.
Yeah,
I went to these public schools. Like, my son is going to go to the elementary school that I went to.
Right.
And it helps. And I'm a little bit more connected with the school district around here. It helps that I know, like, insider opinion that the school that he's going to be going to is a good school. It's a good elementary school.
And that's the thing is, like, where you are, even the bad schools aren't bad.
Yeah. There are some schools in this area that I would not want to sub at.
Right.
Those are not the schools that my son's zoned for. And maybe once he gets to middle school, I will have more of an opinion. But at least for elementary school, I'm happy to send him where he's zoned. But again, he's zoned for a good school.
Right. So, and that's kind of my thing. Is like we've got, 8?
Yes.
8 elementary schools I can send him to. And I've been told you got to send him to this one. This one's going to be the best. But where I am, none of the schools in my county are good. Like, historically, like when we were in school, if you knew people that went to school up here, it was a bad school. Like, no education, bad environment, just not good. And it's changed a ton in the last 20 years.
Yeah. They've had a lot more people move up there.
Exactly. So the point of my dilemma is I think everybody should get the same education, the same opportunities from day one. And I don't think your money or connections or parents, like a willingness to fight, should really affect that. Like, everybody should just get a great education. We live in America. I mean, come on. So I'm running into this wall of like principled, just send my kid where they're supposed to go because everybody should get the same education. And that's running right into, I want my kid to be the best. I want them to get the best.
Yeah.
I want them to get everything handed to them on a silver platter because I want them to have a simple, easy life. So when they get out of college, they can go get a job and they can do whatever they want. And then when they're 35 years old, they can retire because they've saved up their money appropriately. And this is going to tie right back into our conversation for another day.
35, that's ambitious.
Oh, man, let me tell you. My dream job all my life has to be retired.
Yeah, what is it? I'm going to take a minute to look up this Elon Musk quote.
Oh, God. Anyways, guys, this is actually a serious dilemma that I've been dealing with because, like I said, I had a really good education, and I didn't realize how lucky I was.
Okay, I found it.
No, oh, you found something? Okay, cool.
I found it because I've seen this a couple places, especially Twitter these days. It's a quote from Elon Musk. Schools should teach you how to be rich in your 20s, not how to retire in your 60s.
I mean, yeah, that tracks. That's true.
You know,
money.
A blind squirrel finds a nut every once in a while. You know.
I mean, I've had this thing. I like to work
from the perspective of a poor person.
Yeah,
like comparatively, we're doing pretty well. I mean, we live in a house, which is great.
Oh yeah.
I've been out of work for a while, which really sucks. So we're starting to feel it. We're starting to feel it. Yeah. From the perspective of somebody who doesn't currently have any money, I'm amazed at how easy it is to make money. Like, and that sounds weird to say, but especially, well, like talking with, we have some friends who are like financial advisors, and some of the things that they talk about, it's like, why didn't I learn this sooner? Like, this makes so much sense, you know? And yeah, you get the people who come in and they're like, oh, if you put $25 a month, you know, by the time you're however old, you'll be a millionaire, you know? Where do I put that 25, man? Like, where do you know, give me some more clues. So I just put 25 under my bed.
They're all like, oh yeah, if you put it into a high yield savings account with compounding interest.
Yeah, I mean, good luck finding that.
That's wonderful. I'm up. Here's $25. Where do I put it?
Yeah. But now that we have friends who are like,
yeah, you got to look around. Come on.
But also just other business ventures that are available, and it takes work, you know. And well, Connor, why aren't you jumping into those ventures? Well, I have kids, and life is busy. I want a stable job. There's jobs that you can hustle, and you can make some money, and you can do it, you know, in an hour a day if you get to set up. But it takes a lot of effort to get there, and maybe those are the things we could be teaching kids. I don't know.
Well, it's funny because I saw this lady, maybe you sent to me. Anyway, I saw this TikTok from somebody. She's a mobile notary, right? She says she makes $300 on a closing. I'm like, that's fantastic. That's really good for you. Yeah. I'm really happy that you're doing that. My mother's a notary. Your mother's a notary. I've closed on a house. Those places have notaries on site, right? If I need something notarized, I can go to the bank and they do it for free.
Yeah.
Well, who's paying a mobile notary $300? Just go to the bank. It's free. You know, go to Publix. I bet Publix has a notary there.
It might.
I mean, but that's like, I'll do it in a heartbeat. I was gonna do it years ago, just because it's good to have. You're like your notary, but.
Yeah, no money in it. Charge your friends if you want. So this is like a side tangent. And then I want to get back to like our situation, like our kids and getting into schools, because I've been subbing lately, which, you know, when the sub comes, you get busy work. Oh, and that's how you feel about it. It's like, hey, here's a dumb worksheet that's going to be worth 2 points, maybe, but you still have to do it, and that's my job as the sub, is to motivate you to do this dumb assignment that your teachers left you, because they had to go do whatever or they're sick. So how do I motivate? How do I motivate you to do that assignment? And I think it gets into a little bit stuff I didn't realize when I was in school, and stuff that I started to learn in college, and stuff that I totally realize now. And that is like, you learn all this stuff. Like, I'm getting into these middle school math classes, and it's math that I haven't done in
20 years.
20 literal years, you know?
Yeah.
And I don't remember how to do all this. And they've changed the format a little bit of how they do it to make it easier. So they say.
Right.
And maybe it is if you figure it out. It seems like a lot of work for me. But what is the value? You know? Oh, you get the line, oh, I'm never going to use this in real life. Maybe not. But you know what I've realized is that you're learning how to learn. And that is so valuable.
So my uncle once told me that, you know, it's that whole teach a man to fish deal.
Yeah.
Like, you give a man a fish, he has dinner. But you teach a man to fish, he can eat for life, right? So if you can teach somebody how to learn, then I never got that.
Yeah. You don't think about it.
I love to learn.
You don't think about that in high school. That's not how it's ever. And maybe, I'm not saying it was the teacher's fault for never realizing it and never showing that themselves, but that's just something I realized not even until I was in college, and especially now that I'm an adult, like looking at shifting careers where it's like, yeah, I always need to learn, and maybe you don't need to go to college, but you're going to need to learn something, you know?
But like,
You're going to need to learn how to flip burgers if that's what you want to do.
Yeah.
And then when you get sick of flipping burgers, you're going to need to learn how to be an accountant. You're going to need to learn how to count money. You're going to need to learn how to do something else. You're learning how to learn in school because, when you get to that real world situation, you got to learn.
I mean,
you're learning how to learn.
It's funny because we're running into this issue right now. That is the fight we're having in the energy sector. Mm-hmm. Because we have guys whose great-grandparents were coal miners, and their grandfather was, and their father was, and their dad was, and they have been for 30 years. But now they don't have any work because nobody's using coal. So now what? Now what do? I just take welfare? And that's this whole
No, you got to learn something else.
You got to learn.
But if you don't there's no teacher. I'm learning a new career path. There's no teacher. I can go find a teacher, but there's nobody who's sitting here telling me hey, this is how you do this new skill. So yeah, you're learning how to learn. And I have now realized that's a lot more than motivation. And I tell the kids, when I sub the classes, practice makes perfect. This feels like bogus math work, but the more you practice it, the better you're going to be at it. Just like hitting a baseball, just like kicking a soccer ball. But back to the kids. Back to the kids. Because
we're talking about kids.
We're talking about kids. We're talking about practice.
Practice.
Yeah.
Tying back into our last episode.
I'm not going to address that one. That's obscure into something else. Talking about kids and where they're going to go to kindergarten. My son is zoned for a school, and he's going to go to that school, and I know it's a good school. But I have been amazed, and I said this a little earlier, how many people have been like, hey, you should really consider private school. And I just say back to them, no, I can't afford that.
Right, I can't afford it.
But and how many people are really concerned about public school and their kids being in an environment where they're worried about what their teachers are teaching them, and they're worried about kids who do crazy things and how dangerous it could be.
So
people are really worried about that.
When I was in high school, I went to the art school, right? And everybody knew that, Dreyfus was known for two things: drugs and gay dudes. Right? That was it. Right? There weren't a ton of gay dudes there, but there were a lot of drugs. You know who did more drugs and harder drugs? The private school.
Yeah, they got the money
for it. Catholic school. They had the money for it. Man, not the only time, but the first time I saw somebody doing coke was when one of the Catholic school boys came over and gave my buddy coke. I'd never seen that before, right? I'd seen other things, but not that. I mean, come on. And
you gotta get the expendable income and the time to kill, so.
Right, exactly. No, I don't know. I mean, ironically, I was always a private school fan. I was a fan of them. I thought this was great. I can teach my kid. I know what they're learning. They're going to learn with the values that I want them to learn with. And I got to say, in our current environment, I don't want my kids around those people. I identify as a Christian, and I have been looking for 2 years for a church to go to. And I just don't want my kids to go to a Christian school because they're not Christian in my view. And I don't want my kids growing up around those people. I think it's weird for me to say that, but I don't want them going to private school because I don't want to be around it. So now what? Now what do I do?
Public school, man.
Public school.
I went to public school. I turned out okay. Well, yeah, you get a choice. That's going to be tough.
I got a choice.
So, what factors would go into you selecting a school? Like, what are you considering? I don't have this option. It's for me if I want to send them to a charter school. It's like my kid's going to the school he's zoned for. And we get to middle school and high school, that's a totally other topic. But what are you considering? Like, what are the factors that you're thinking, like, well, here's some things I want to see when I choose the school? Have you thought of that?
I met a woman about 8 months ago who I told her that, oh, yeah, I got a kid. She's going to be starting school next year. Or she just started preschool. I guess it wasn't that long ago. 5 months ago, and she goes, well, she's going to kindergarten, and this is the best kindergarten. Where do you live? And I told her about where I live, and she goes, oh yeah, you're in the zone. It's the best school in the county. Totally send her there. It'd be great. And I'm like, awesome. That's where I'm gonna go. But I have 8 choices, and how many people are competing for those slots, and how many slots are there? And I've always kind of been like a go with the reviews kind of guy. Like, fair. Like, look, if it's a 5-star review and there are no 1 stars, or there's nothing in the middle, it's 5s and 1s. Yep. Something's up.
Fishy.
But if it's like a 4.3 and there's a lot of 5s and like a couple of 1s and some 2s, then it's probably good. I'll take that one. You read the reviews.
Yeah.
How do you do that on schools? There used to be Rate My Professor for college. Is there a Rate My Kindergarten?
If you Google it.
I say that.
You can Google it, because I know I've Googled schools to find their address so that I can show up and sub. And a lot of what comes up is, hey, here's a website that will review that school. And
That's
I
funny.
just think, hey, I'm trying to find the front door.
Funny, I put in Rate My, and it was Rate My Professor was the first one that came up. There's a Rate My Teachers, Florida Rate My Teachers, so that's cool.
Yeah, there's a review that you can think of. What do you think, though, like, off the dome? Like, what do you want your kindergarten school to have?
I don't even know. Like, ultimately, like this is I don't know what this is, but I want my kid to learn STEM and to be active. Like, I want her to do all the coding, learn all the computer languages, learn all the coding. I want you to come into my office one day, and I come home and my computer's taken apart, and you're like, it's okay, Dad, I'm giving you an upgrade. You're like that's what I want. I'll be pissed about it, but I'll be really happy about it. Like, I want that Tony Stark kid. Everybody does, right? But I don't have a boy, so she'd be Tony Stark.
Riri Williams.
Riri Williams. It's a good movie. We should talk about it. Anyways, that's like, I want my kid to learn STEM. I want them. I didn't know I liked math until I was in like a junior, and then I don't know if something clicked, or like the teachers got out of the way.
Oh, maybe.
And it could be that, because I ran into that problem a lot growing up. Like, my teachers were just in the way. They would try to teach me something, and then I didn't get it. So then they would just get frustrated with me because I didn't get what they were saying. And then if they just left me alone with it, I'd figure it out. Because I've discovered recently that I'm a slow person. Like, I get things really quick, but I was 30 before I knew what curiosity killed the cat meant. And I took psychology.
I never liked math because at a certain point it was just too much work.
You know what's funny is it's not, though. Like, that's why I like math.
It's all the steps. It's all the steps. Like, when you have to show your work, and that's a lot of what teachers are looking for, because that's how you prove the skill. And so when it got to like past certain steps, even today, like, I helped a girl in middle school, 7th grade math, helped her through this whole equation. And we get to the end and she clicks it into the website and she's like, it's wrong. Oh, sorry. Ask your friends.
I mean, so my grandfather was a mathematician.
Positives and minuses are difficult.
Apparently math can change now. So my grandfather was a mathematician. He was an engineer, and like, he worked on jet engines for Pratt Whitney. So he was tutoring me in math because I wasn't doing well, and I would look at the problem and then I write down the answer because I could do it in my head. And I didn't get why the teachers wanted me to write my work down, and their reasoning probably wasn't good. His reasoning, he'd spent 30 years as an engineer doing math for a living, right? Mm-hmm. His reasoning was, this way you can see where you messed up. When you write down your work,
yeah,
and the answer's supposed to be 39 and you come up with 37, that's not a big deal, like, if we're just talking about a math problem. But when you're talking about aeronautics or, engineering,
yeah,
that's a big deal.
Life and death.
All right, so he's also the one that told me never round. If you can avoid rounding, don't round. If you get like 18 decimal places, all right, but like, don't round. Just use the numbers you have. Which is when we got the calculators. That was I would do all the homework, all the work on my calculator, so I could see the work, and then because it would automatically round. so you can get the answer. But he's like, look, this if you round up here on this long problem, by the time you get to the end, you have a different number. This isn't the right answer. This is wrong. So don't round. And there was more to it, a little bit more nuance, but like math just works. It's always the same until now. Now it's changed.
Apparently, well, the tactics have changed, but right. I see why they have changed tactics, but it's just not how I learned it. So when kids show me a thing, I'm like, I don't know. I can't help you with that.
You know what I was always envious of? You remember 10 Things I Hate About You?
Yeah.
And so Cameron is played by, I can't remember his name. But he's wooing Bianca, right? And he goes to teach her French, to tutor her in French. He doesn't speak French. He gets a French book and he learns French so he can tutor her in French. It's like,
that's a reason to learn.
That is impressive, right? Maybe that's why you just need the reason.
Yeah. What's your motivation?
I thought you were gonna say to motivate the kids. Just look, when you're 30 years old and you have to do math for somebody and you can't figure this simple problem out, they're gonna laugh at you. You may not care, but they're going to laugh.
They don't laugh at me. I just tell them, like, look, it's graded anyway. You might as well do it on my time instead of yours.
Right.
It's all online. It's all online now. So it's like there's no excuse of I left it at school. It's like, no, it's online, dude. Yeah. It's all online.
See, so that I didn't get. I tried to take a math class in college and do everything on the computer. Mm-hmm. There are like shortcut keys and hotkeys you can use to get to plus minus and all the symbols. They're on there, but they're hard to get to. When somebody's talking and writing stuff up on the board, it's so much easier just to write it. To have to get those symbols, and I'm a pretty fast typist, but I'm not that good.
Takes a few steps, yeah.
It is. It's a few steps, but since I'm the king of smooth transitions, I got a great. Okay, all right. You know what really made me think about schools today? Have you watched Wednesday?
I have not watched Wednesday.
You should totally watch Wednesday.
Really?
I had a couple of slow days at work. I watched the whole season in 2 days.
It's just some slow days at work.
It's only 8 episodes. I also did go to bed late every night.
I don't know. I've never been
an Addams Family
huge
fan.
On the Addams Family. Not that I'm not a fan, but I've never been like, wow, the Addams Family. I need to check this out.
So in the Addams Family, the first episode, it's how they get into the series. She changes schools because she gets expelled from the first one for dropping piranhas in the pool, which funny. No, I have critiques on the show, but Gomez Addams, I don't remember where I saw it, but Gomez Addams is like the pinnacle of romance.
Yeah.
Everything he does revolves around his love for Morticia.
Yeah. I saw a TikTok recently, actually, that was kind of talking about how, not revolutionary, but just how different the Addams Family was when it first came on the air. Not just because they were weird and they would do kind of weird stuff and kind of creepy stuff, but just that this was a functioning family that actually loved each other. And that was new for television, right? Yeah. To have a husband and wife that aren't just like, oh, my ball and chain.
But they're completely enamored with one another.
Yeah. That was revolutionary when they first aired on television. And and over the years that, the TikTok kind of went on to talk about how, I think it was the early 2000s movie that really kind of shifted this focus onto Wednesday Addams, the one where they went to camp. When it started to kind of become more about the kids, and it's like, hey, look how cool Wednesday could be, because people just liked Wednesday, the fans, really were kind of drawn to her, and that kind of led us to the recent animated movie, and now this movie with Greendale Community College alumni Luis Guzman. Yeah,
it's really good, and I was actually, get this, the guy's name is Gomez, right? And my first thought when this is gonna sound terrible. My first thought when I saw Gomez and Morticia, like, oh, cool, they're not white, but they're not.
No.
I mean, I guess it could be, but like he's Gomez, and they're like totally Hispanic makes sense, and it didn't just work. It made it make sense. Like it's like, oh, okay. Now we have the right guy.
Yeah.
And but I don't know, I enjoyed the show. I've been watching that, and then I just started the Peripherals.
Is that the one with who's in that
Kick-Ass.
one? Chloe Grace Moretz, right?
Yeah, Chloe something. Kick-Ass.
Yeah.
No, she wasn't Kick-Ass.
She was Hit Girl.
Hit Girl, right,
yeah.
Hit Girl.
I don't know, that one's been coming up a lot recently. I don't remember why.
The only reason I put it on yesterday was because of everything I've seen about it, and I'm glad I did.
Yeah. Well, we're lucky over here. My brother signed up for a month of Apple TV Plus, which means two things. It means one, we got to watch the new Christmas movie with Will Ferrell and Ryan Reynolds.
Oh, that's right. That's why I wanted to see it.
Yeah.
I don't like Will Ferrell, but I love.
No,
Ryan
well,
Reynolds.
and we watched it. It's probably the best Will Ferrell movie I've seen in a while.
It's because I had Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah.
It was the worst Ryan Reynolds you've ever seen.
Not the worst. It was good. We really enjoyed the movie. I mean, there's pluses and minuses to everything. It's a solid, 6.5, I think. But it's a good movie. Like, I enjoyed watching it. We will probably watch it again before this Apple TV subscription ends. And it's a musical. It's a full-on musical.
No kidding.
Yeah. And
that might make it worth it.
Yeah, it's good. If you can swing a month of that, or you can find a trial, I definitely watch it. Not one to watch with the kids.
That was my question.
I don't remember anything like too grotesque. I just don't imagine that they would care about it.
Oh, okay.
I figured it would
be not Deadpool violence.
No. I don't remember there being any language. Like, there's no bad stuff. I just don't think they're gonna care. But it's a cool story. It's a cool concept for a story. It is attached to
spoilers.
No, it's like this is the concept of the movie. It's not spoilers,
okay.
But it's connected with that whole like Christmas story. What is it? Christmas Carol.
The Christmas Carol.
Yes, it's kind of connected with that concept and universe, which is cool.
Okay.
Which I only kind of knew going into it. You pick up on it pretty quick, and it also means
I think I saw like a trailer for it.
Yeah, before I remembered we were going to record an episode tonight, having Apple TV Plus also means that I can binge Ted Lasso again before the end of the month. Because man, that is just especially with the World Cup going on, Ted Lasso to me he's the pinnacle of leadership. And
you were the first one, but everybody says that, and I don't know. I got enough subscriptions, and I don't like Apple.
Sure.
So
I totally get it. I totally get it. There's not too much, I think, on Apple TV Plus that just makes me really want to pay for it. But Ted Lasso,
yeah,
especially because I would buy the DVD box sets if I could, but they don't make them.
Right.
The
it's on Apple
only
TV.
way to watch Ted Lasso is illegally or paying for Apple TV Plus.
Right.
Which I'm too old to steal stuff like that these days. So
yeah,
it's not worth my time.
It's a lot of effort. I mean, never mind. It's a lot of stuff, and it's not worth it.
It's not worth it. I wish they would release them on DVD. I would absolutely pay them, even if Apple was like the producer. But
no. Like I'm not opposed to buying it because it's Apple.
Yeah.
I don't like Apple. I don't use Apple products. I have an Apple TV because we had it when I used Apple.
Yeah.
And I still have it because it works, and it's our backup that's in our room. Mm-hmm. So
it's not a bad product.
Tonight, my wife is in the room watching Netflix. Maybe she's probably working or something, but she could be in there watching Netflix or something.
Yeah, it's not a bad product.
When I had COVID, I spent 2 weeks watching The Witcher. But otherwise, we don't ever use that thing. So
yeah. Well, that's all I got. So cue the music. Thanks for hanging out with us on the Dad Shoes Podcast, the dad group where you don't have to talk to anyone unless you want to. I mean, we want to. We want to talk to you. You can reach out to us on Twitter, on Instagram, and now on TikTok at Dad Shoes Pod and YouTube. We've added handles to YouTube, so you can find us YouTube at Dad Shoes Pod, or you can email us at dadshoespod@gmail.com. How did you or do you deal with sending your kids to school? What are your thoughts? Are you going to do public school, private school? Why?
Charter school.
Charter school?
Why?
What is going into that decision? Because we have to make that decision soon. Well, one of us has to make that decision very soon. What factors are you looking
convinced, for? Connor.
Convinced to do private school?
Or charter school.
Charter school, maybe. I don't know. It depends on how much money I'm making a little bit. Anyway, reach out to us. Let us know what you think.
Our handle on TikTok is Dad Shoes Pod with underscores for spaces.
Underscores for spaces. You hate to see
underscores for spaces.
You do what you gotta do.
Alrighty. Peace.
Bye.